So game two, did now continue this. Let's find out. Picks and pans are ready, and there we go. Randozos this time. They've elected to be first pick, and so, well, they weren't scared of Susano, and they showed they can deal with it.
They had a good combination between the Raijin and the Nemesis, and it worked to their favor, camping the solo lane, transitioning into the mid lane. The first blood was actually in the mid lane, which transitioned over to the solo lane, so that opened up the door for the early game for the rest of Denial.
I think we'll see the same bands coming out from Randozos here. We saw Thor last time round, and now they're respecting Raijin. They don't want to give that away to Adora in the mid lane. They focused on Giannis, and I believe...
Everything. The Isis was banned, Giannis was banned,
Zeus,
and then
Zeus.
Sol. A lot of mages were banned away from Adoro after they picked up the first pick, the Raijin, because they knew that Adoro is a very good mage player, so they wanted to take away some of his picks.
Well, Randos is trying to take away the Ao Kwong available for Denial here as well. Susano will be respect banned by Denial this time round though, so Randozos have a couple of options available to them. Do they want to secure something nice from Adoro in mid is the question.
More than likely, I would try to go for a Giannis pick here. Having the mobility for you and the rest of your team allows you to play aggressive and to disengage at the same time, so it's a very safe first pick for Randozos.
However, it will be Athena actually for the Randozos and for Wubbn over in the duo lane, more than likely. Can jungle, can solo too, but less likely to see that. I'm surprised we didn't. I'm respectful of Randozos here because I thought they may come out and have a bit of fun. A little bit like the old Fat Chunks days that we've seen of old and the old Rambozos days where the season's over, maybe we'll play a bit of funsies gods, but, you know, still take it serious, but have a bit of fun with the roles.
Could play Guan Yu with Athena as well. Guan Yu solo lane, Athena jungle, having a lot of magic damage online from that. Athena could actually get a lot of solo lane kills as well.
That's true. Well, Meerkat's going to actually go for the Ho Yi again. His triple bounce at the end of that game was fantastic to see, just not enough damage. But Isis was available, and Adora will go back to it again as Batz is locked in for Mass to go with the Zeus.
Good early game right now coming out of Randozos, picking up the Isis middle this early on. It's going to set them up for the jungle position. Whoever he chooses, it could be a Fenrir or a Naja right now. Unless both of those are off the table, Randozos should be able to have a very strong 2v2 in the mid lane.
Well, mid lane and jungle locked in for Denial. They could look for their support here, but Guan Yu's locked in, and we saw Shadowq on it, so it could well be that.
I like the idea that Denial have always picking up the Guan Yu whenever possible. It is a little bit of a flex position if needed as well. Putting it on Shadowq allows the duo lane to survive longer, having the sustain, having meditation, and all the rotations in the 3v3 jungle fights as well.
Xenotronics banned out by Randozo, so a couple of shots there towards Vetium. He did pick the ult last time around against the Ho Yi, had a pretty good impact on it, and Denial, they'll take away Nemesis because they don't want to deal with it themselves.
The way the Denial executed Nemesis just proves to show like they recognize the strength out of Nemesis. We haven't seen it much in the earlier season, and it's made a resurgence specifically on top of Captain Twig and Hungry for More. He's the one that's been able to execute it efficiently. Now some teams have been capitalizing on that.
Sol locked in for Denial there, more than likely for the dual lane of Vetium this time round as well. And it goes back to Randozos one more time, looking to round out their roster, needing a solo laner in Vamana, and finally a jungler, which we'll find out.
We'll see if Whalrus is going to be able to replicate the performance that Benji had that last game. However, it was kind of complemented the fact that Mask was always sitting in that lane for a little bit earlier on, and we'll see how Randozos pan it out. Naja is going to get locked in, so a lot of good early aggression out of the Isis and Naja.
Yeah, taunts as well as ring tosses and the ultimate available. Spirit Ball, good CC and crowd control from Randozos this game. Amaterasu with the last pick for Benji here, so expecting to get bullied a little bit earlier on by the Vamana again from Whalrus. But to be fair, if we see Mask go over to that lane and continue the pressure we saw from game one, then that Amaterasu doesn't have as many issues.
Exactly, it's not going to matter as long as you have a 2v1 advantage in the solo lane despite having a weaker 1v1, and that's something that Denial did good first game. I expect that to happen again the second game, and this Amaterasu pick is going to do a little bit more work in the late game, having that aura online, more mobility for you and your team.
So let's see how this one will work out. Ho Yi up against the Sol to begin with. Sol and Athena, sorry, Ho Yi and Athena versus Sol and Guan Yu. I'm pretty sure Sol and Guan Yu have lane clear advantage to begin.
It's going to be really nice to have that Guan Yu, Taolu Assault to bunch up the way Vetium is going to do a lot of damage with his Stellar Burst as well. Having the meditation as well to sort of counteract any aggression. If Meerkat even finds a double, triple bounce as well, it's going to be instantly healed up.
Well, 3 power potions start. Skeeledon and Adora again going to go for the power potion and only masked on Denial here. No invades coming out from either team. Just one ward down at the moment as well from Randozos at the right-hand Harpies, just to see if Denial are looking to do them, I guess.
They just don't want to have any shenanigans happen against them right now. They're down a game, so they're kind of feeling this point where they're cornered against the wall right now. They want to make sure that they're going to be able to do their start without being contested.
So as the season's gone on, totally, and the speed buff came back and things, we've seen lots of transitions to mid-harpy starts, and now it seems to be settled on speed and blue. Either or, blue to speed or speed to blue has always been the way. We've not seen as many mid-harpy starts anymore. What's the reason?
It depends on how fast you're confident about. There was a strategy where a team, I forgot which team exactly did it, but they would do, after they did blue to speed, the soul laner would come into the mid-harpies and then teleport over
Paradigm,
to the soul.
yeah.
I was thinking it was Zalia for a second there. But, that's a specific strategy. It just depends on, how much you've been practicing it and how this strategy transitions in the mid-game.
Well, Adura got to lane first of all, so he's going to get a bit of pressure in that mid lane there. Meanwhile, blue buffs have been taken. You can see immediately the Skeeledon's going to soak a wave of experience in the solo lane, while across the way you'll see Mast head to mid lane to soak that wave there. So actually works out pretty well for Mast, as he will get that full wave of mid experience there and get the left hand harpies by the looks of it is what he's looking for.
It looks like Isis is going to try to steal these left side harpies as the rest of his team is going to be able to rotate for those right side harpies. And now recognizing this, not even going to start the left side harpies quite yet.
I think that's the thing though with this Isis. Isis is probably the best one for trying to steal away these more often than not and trying to find the pick. Not going to find it that time round, sadly though, but did a good job of trying to poke.
Did get the right side harpies though. In the meantime, the imps are going to go in the favor of Skeeledon as well, as there's Meerkat. It's gonna. I'm sorry. We're gonna have a rotation.
Oh, Sash off the mark there from Skeeledon, looking to close the gap. A couple of autos did connect from Xenotronics. Going to get some good free poke out, looking for the detonate. And he does find it, knocking them both to half. But he ate a lot more poke than he would have liked himself because of that first missed in hand there. And the Spirit Ball connected from Adoro. So all even in the mid lane still.
One sash into the Spirit Ball will spell trouble for the Zeus, so he has to watch out. However, Duro taking that much damage as well. It's going to favor Denial right now, so they're going to go ahead and rotate for those back left harpies.
Yeah, they'll get to the back left harpies first of all and be able to pick those ones up. And Randozos, they're going to do the same thing and go for the back right-hand harpies here. Both lanes of the Randozos, though, are pushed up over in the duo and solo lane here. Obviously, the Vamana versus Benji matchup of the Amaterasu early definitely goes to favor of Vamana on the left-hand side. Well, I'm surprised by that. Ho Yi and Athena out pushing a Sol and Guan Yu.
It's interesting to see that because you do have the Athena taunt that could stop the Guan Yu Talo Assaulters. We do have another gank from Skeeledon in the solo lane.
This is a good gank though because he's not level 5 yet. They can close the gap as a very good knock-up. First blood the wave Randozos. Very well played by Randozos and Skeeledon.
And now with Naja level 5, they're going to potentially look for a play as there is going to be a rotation on the Zeus in the mid lane, but it's not going to be paired up with the Hunbat, so they could look for a 2v1 play again.
Xenotronics is only level 4 here, so if he comes to the wave and doesn't recognize this, he could pay the price for it as well. Going to walk right up to the wave. Skeeledon does have his ultimate available, may just go straight for it. Nope. Instead, he's going to farm the wave and deny him hitting level 5 for a few more seconds, and instead rotate to the left-hand side here.
Skeeledon didn't want to dive the tower. He was going to take a lot of return damage from the shield chain lightning combination, and one or two tower shots would have probably put him at about 25% health. Wouldn't have killed him, but he would have had to definitely retreat and heal up.
Taunt onto Shadowq to stop him being able to clear that wave out fully, but Vitium's perfectly fine to help clear this. They'll hit level 5 soon off this wave as well. Vitium and actually Shadowq just a little bit further behind, not level 5 yet.
They're not level 5 quite yet. They are getting out clear because the taunt does counter the Talo Assault, and they have to respect it. The way Wubbn is playing also, he dashes through the wave, he throws out the reach to hit one of the members from Denial, which groups up the wave on the archers, and then one shield wall will help fully clear the wave very easily.
Pressure on the left-hand side. They're looking to invade the red buff here. Randozos, they don't give up without a fight every single game. I guarantee you that much. They will steal away the red, but look at what's happening on the right-hand side of the map. Denial are doing the same thing.
And that's something that you have to recognize. If you're weak on the left-hand side, you have to exploit the right-hand side. The purification is used as well as the Zeus ultimate.
Yeah, they were trying to exploit the mid lane there, knowing that Mass may be in the jungle stealing the speed. Unfortunately, they did get purification, though, in response, and, as you said, the ultimate, as Benji does secure his own blue buff there on that right side, but he may end up actually dying, especially with the Athena ult coming in on top of that as well. One taunt will be enough to secure this kill, more than likely. All he has to do is shield wall power. No, the taunt not long enough, and he doesn't manage to pick up the kill on Benji.
Does have 2 points in the taunt, unfortunately. A little bit of not duration long enough to find the shield wall combination. Gonna allow him to escape and come back into the laning phase. Doesn't have teleport available to him, but it looks like because the Vamana did back, he's gonna sit in the laning phase. Not really worried about just Wubbn.
Wubbn's actually trying to freeze this wave just so Benji can't get the experience, but Mass showing his presence now on this side. Wubbn doesn't recognize that just yet, and he may end up getting baited in himself here because you can see Mass does have his ultimate available for him, and he was looking at it, but he showed his face, and now as well, Wubbn well aware that Mass was on this side. Instead, he'll return to his jungle, clear out his speed buff as well. Benji will finally return to base.
Mass not wanting to start his speed buff right away. He doesn't really know where Skeeledon is. Skeeledon could be lingering around the corner. Instead, just going to share the mid wave right now, and then Guan Yu is probably going to assist him, and it's going to make it a very much easier speed buff to secure.
Yeah, 3-man split here in the mid lane. Oh, sorry, the speed buff from Denial on this right-hand side. Benji does get back to lane. Did lose a wave to the tower there as well, unfortunately enough, on his return back from base. But now has Warrior Tabby online. You can see there's a bit of a gold lead between the two solo lanes there. Whalrus has a little bit of an advantage working towards that breastplate.
Having the first blood available onto Skeeledon, which denied a wave earlier from Benji, and the aggression earlier from Whalrus as well denied a second wave on top of Benji. So a very slight advantage on the Vamana.
Xenotronics, hello, my friend. He's going to get hit by the Spirit Ball after the taunt as well. Circle of Protection was good, and Skeeledon gets credit for the kill. Benji a little bit too late on the rotation to help him.
No purification available early on, because immediately after that red buff invade, there was aggression onto the mid lane. So good capitalization from Randozos, recognizing that that ability and relic was on cooldown.
This is a great start from the Randozos again. I mean, the mid-harpy control has been very, very good both games. They got a lead just based off that, but this time round, the story is they've managed to pick up those kills, the first couple, in their favor, and continue applying the pressure. Can they hold this up, though?
And that's something that they're going to have to do. There's going to be a tower dive. The big baby is going to be
nice.
good enough. The Athena ultimate just helping secure it right now. It's going to open up the left-hand side of the map for Denial if they ever wanted to try to exploit that, but they're not going to be able to find it. Randozos, they have a very good early game composition, and they're utilizing it very brilliantly. Vamana countering the Amaterasu, and then the Isis Najad combo doing good in the 2v2.
I know she saw Randozos there. They were grouped towards the Gold Fury side just to make sure Denial didn't try and rush that one down there, make it hard lane pressure, and had rotated to that too. So all good things for Randozos so far. They're up about 2,000 gold here, and still no harpies available for the enemy team to take. Is a great position.
They covered their options, knowing that the Athena ultimate was down. They're like, okay, our left side is opened up just a little bit. Let's just make sure that there is no potential for Denial to sneak this. Even though the Zeus ultimate was traded for the Isis ultimate, you still have to watch out.
Fear No Evil goes off, and they're looking for Skeeledon, who healed himself, turns around and pops Shadowq into the sky. Is there a follow-up from his team is the question. Well, they've got some, but Shadowq is very tanky. Now the cavalry charges out. He's going to run them down and stun them in place. Overhand smash from Mast is good, and the ult over the wall from Xenotronics is better. The detonate connects. There's the somersault in from Mast as well to slow them down. Gives Vetium one, Mast another, and like that, Denial are back in the game.
3-for-0 exchange so far. We have a rotation, however, from Whalrus, able to find one return kill so far onto Shadowq. He's still going to make a statement right now. As the Amaterasu ultimate comes out, the dash is good enough to escape that, however.
And into the jungle they'll go. The speed buff is available for Denial to strip away here as well and just try and continue things. They closed the gap in that by 400 gold so far with the speed buff going down. If they can get it, which they do, they should be able to look at Whalrus here as well. But I think they're a little bit worried about Mana. Instead, it's actually Benji in an awkward position. He takes a lot of free poke and goes down to Whalrus. Meerkat's in hands with the Mark of the Crow were beautiful to help secure that.
Too much aggression from Benji right there. He didn't have his ultimate available, trying to get more poke onto Whalrus right now, and the rest of Denial were thinking otherwise. They wanted to just escape from that situation. Purification used on Xeno.
But the Spirit Ball won't connect, unfortunately, for the stun. But the taunt will, however, and now Xenotronics in a very awkward position gives a free kill over to Skeeledon on the Randozos again.
And now on the right-hand side, Whalrus is going to be able to get this tier 1 solo tower off of Benji's death right now, and it's not looking good for Denial the way they started off this early game.
It's looking great for Randozos, though. The blue buff's up on this side, as well as the speed buff for them to look invade. 4 members are over here, and you can already see Whalrus starting up the blue buff, and Benji will know what's going on. Masked recognizes his speed is under threat, but seeing 3 members here, they may look to try and defend this. Fear No Evil overhand smash, it will secure it, but now they're under pressure themselves. Or is it Skeeledon who's under pressure? Slowed down by Benji, and Adoro is left alone on the backsides, trying to help out his team. He pays the price.
He's just a little bit out of position there. Vetium going to try to find this solo kill right now on the left-hand side. If he finds the Stellar Burst, this should be a kill.
Not going to find the Stellar Burst, but the in-hand is good. Second one, third one, but inside the ultimate coming out there from Meerkat will dissuade him from continuing for a moment. Very low on mana too, but Disapparate is available and Stellar Burst again, and Meerkat, recognizing he could be still under pressure, will back away.
Purification was used onto Vetium, so they're going to try to look for that if you're Rendozo. So Skeeledon is going to have to make a rotation here and exploiting the fact that Vetium doesn't have that purification.
Red buff available on the left-hand side, and Wubbn will combine with Skeeledon here to go and pick this one up in the jungle. Go to the graphs again, you'll see that the tail of this one, it started off very good for the Randozos, dipped because Denial got themselves online, but then Denial, well, they overextended and allowed Randozos to just climb back up to where they once were.
And that's what you have to do. You have to be very disciplined and not give anything back to the team. You stole a speed buff. There's no reason for you to stick around. You got the objective. It's time to disengage, regroup, spend your gold, go back to your lanes and start farming.
3 members of mid lane from Denial here, just going to continue farming up as Whalrus will take the very last spawn of those fire imps as they do despawn at 10 minutes in. And Odoro already back in mid lane again on this Isis, who's, to be fair, poor Odoro, he always seems to be the one that gets caught out of position, not because he's out of position, but his team just leave him there.
If your team is very aggressive, you have to follow that up, and unfortunately, being the last cart on the train, you're going to get kind of disconnected from the rails.
Unless you're a solo laner, right?
Unless you're the solo laner, but if you're the mage, you're definitely going to find an easy death, especially if you're Denial that's always looking for any opportunities.
Oh, man, fight going on. Great ricochet double tap coming out from Meerkat there. I don't think Vetium liked that at all. Immediately pops the Disapparate and leads the fight. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Fiddle Weevil popped, as is the ultimate from Wubbn to protect Skeeledon. Instead, it's Shadowq under pressure there as well. Spirit Ball comes out off the mark, but the rotation coming in from Whalrus, and Benji is here too. But Whalrus is doing great poke on the back onto Shadowq to force something into the fight in mid. Will dissuade for now as Meerkat is clearing out wards in the jungle.
We saw the discipline from Shadowq. He got the Tallow Assault damage off, he dashed immediately, but then as soon as he dashed aggressively forward, he disengaged, knowing that there's a lot of return damage incoming his way, and that's how you have to play if you're a veteran player.
Goal Fury started. Vetium knows something's going on here, trying to swing around the back and drops the Supernova over the top. Stellar Burst comes out too for great poke, but the Goal Fury goes down the way of Randozos, and it looks like they're all going to get out scot-free as well.
And with that Whalrus ultimate in rotation as well, it's going to leave the left side Harpies available for Denial, so they're going to take something out of this right now. Mid tower is going to be aggressed on potentially from Denial if too many members from Randozos decide to back.
I mean, game one, we saw Denial come out the gates flying. Very, very aggressive, very, very strong at the beginning of the game. But this second game, I think they took the foot off the gas a little bit, and Randozos, they're exploiting that to their fullest. It's not often you see Denial lose Goal Furies for free.
It's the fact that Randozos currently have a better early game than Denial right now. They have the Vamana over the Amaterasu. They have the rotation that Skeeledon did in the solo lane that found the easy first blood on top of Benji. And now Randozos are looking for little holes and gaps that they can exploit. Taking red buff, forcing Purification out of Xenotronics a couple times, finding another kill on him, the second one that they had. So Randozos, they have a game plan and they're executing it really well right now. The question is, how are they going to transition this later on?
Well, the big key is just keep doing this over and over again. Purification forced on Xenotronics again in the mid lane from Wubbn there. Good little work from the Randozos, and they can just keep this pace up. There's no way for Denial to really get back into this one. Keep finding these objectives, keep finding these Goal Furies, and things will be great for them going forward. Denial, though, like you said, if they can just swing one fight, potentially the game goes in their favor.
Which is very possible whenever you have a Zeus and a Batz in your arsenal. You have such large AoEs abilities, and if Randozos are feeling themselves too much and they overcommit, they go through one little pathway and they all get chain lightning, they all get Zeus detonated triple stack, that's going to be a lot of damage for Denial.
And even though Randozos are winning, keeping on that player damage there, you can see Max and Vetium right below their Whalrus at the moment over from the solo lane. Ricochet comes out again from Meerkat, though Meerkat always willing to take a fight if he can find one. But Vetium not interested too much, he just wants to pick up the creeps more than anything and uses Disapparate to avoid some poke.
It's a little bit of a different mentality right now between Meerkat and Vetium. Meerkat leaning more towards that solo lane mentality where he always wants to fight, he always wants to box. And Vetium, despite the aggression from the opposite side, he has a level ahead of advantage over Meerkat because he knows how to efficiently farm.
And it is efficient at the moment, keeping all those minions away from the towers. He doesn't lose a single bit of gold there. Now going to return to base. Whalrus going to return to the solo lane here and soak up some extra experience once more with Benji. The minion wave is even on that right-hand side at the moment, as in mid lane you can see Mass is hanging around on this Batz on the right-hand side, looking to potentially gank over the wall, and there it is, Fiddle Weevil after the blink. Going to pin him against the wall with the body blocks as well, but Skeeledon still gets away from the danger.
The body block was so good, just allowing for extra damage purification, having to be used by Mass. He's going to be able to disengage, so good initiation, forcing the purification out of Skeeledon.
Meerkat fighting Vetium again, but Disapparate will ignore a lot of that free damage. No chance, though, for them to get any sort of tower pressure on here from Meerkat whatsoever. Vetium returning to base, and Meerkat will continue farming out this wave. However, that tower is down to half health already.
The tower is down, but it looks like Vetium should be able to rotate in time to defend the tower, so it looks like Meerkat is going to back. Benji does have to be careful. He doesn't have his tier 1 tower available to him, so he could potentially get ganked earlier on, similar to how Skeeledon did earlier.
Well, left Harpies are about to come up any second now, and you can see the rotation coming up from both teams to try and ward this one up once again. They may catch Shadowq on the rotation here. Fedora can find it, but instead they're just going to get that ward down, get control of them, and just see what happens, because you can even see the rotation from Whalrus to mid, just in case.
And Wubbn's going to have to try to find a dash taunt right now. He's going to be onto Xenotronics as well. Good follow-up damage. Xenotronics going to take a lot of damage, and he's going to be the first victim.
He does fall down for free. Shadowq, though, does return it with the cavalry charge coming out as well, but there's no real follow-up to that as the Spirit Ball does connect again from Adora. Vetium turns up the Supernova, but a great ult from Skeeledon will take him out of the fight immediately. Half health for Vetium, has the Sanctuary, but the Mass is even better with the Fear No Evil overhand smash to take out Skeely. Meerkat here trading back with the Mark of the Crow as Benji annihilates Adoro, and Mass tries to get out of the fight, being chased by Whalrus, and now Wubbn dunking in.
And now Whalrus going to find a kill with Wubbn in the backline. Mask jump was down. Whalrus might be in a little bit of trouble. So far, it's a 3-for-2 exchange in the favor of Denial, and they're looking to play more aggressive. Nice sustain coming out of Shadowq, and now Meerkat is going to fall as well.
Meerkat went for the kill, got the kill onto Shadowq, but paid the price, and that's kind of the story of this one. As Benji's still going in now for Wubbn, looking to pick him up, and we'll find him with a reflection there as well. 9-9 is the scoreline. Denial get the deicide. A good ace from them coming out, and that realistically the fight went Randozos' way, but they overcommitted looking for more kills.
They used too many abilities on the tier 1 tower on top of Xenotronics, and as a result, the rotation from Denial just counteract that. The way Benji went in the backline, he found a nice kill onto Aduro that he forced Meerkat out of the fight later on, and then the sustain from Shadowq kept the rest of Denial just topped off.
Tops off indeed, and there's a top performer for you on the screen. Benji, the solo in Amaterasu right now. Had a pretty good game for himself game 1. Game 2 seems to be going the same sort of way.
And right now, this is the point where Amaterasu is going to start taking off right now. It's very difficult to deal with Amaterasu. You have the cooldowns available to keep constantly switching your aura between the physical power, the mobility, sustaining you up as well, allowing you to dive the backline very easily.
A lot of people underestimate the in-hands that she has as well. I mean, they don't do a lot, but they do at the same time because they slow you down or expose weaknesses to you.
It gives you that 10% increased damage on whoever is exposed in the weakness. So that's something that Benji is always looking to exploit, and that's why he found a kill onto the Athena.
Well, they find a kill onto Aduro in the mid lane now, and you can see Wubbn coming in there just a little bit too late to help. Whalrus over here on the Vamana as well, trying to create a bit of a zone. Tier 1 tower in the mid lane is currently down, though, in favor of Denial here. Randozos lost out. Gold Fury available, and the amount of war coverage Denial have, it looks like they're swinging round for it.
And now it looks like Denial very comfortable, very confident. They're going to try to position themselves around Gold Fury. Whether or not they started, they're going to look for another pick as Mask is hiding around the corner and Meerkat gets poked out.
Yeah, Vetium with a nice stellar burst onto Meerkat there, but immediately Denial recognize that they don't have ultimates available to try and contest this, so they'll just back away back to farming again. Not a big of enough opportunity for them. Whalrus, though, hanging around in the mid lane and still level 17 at 4-1-3. Had a good game on the Vamana so far, but he's going to start having a few more issues as the game goes on.
Denial right now, they really want Xenotronics to get a few more levels before they start forcing the situation. Denial's very comfortable about finding the right aggressive positioning, but if you don't have a Zeus to get that burst damage online and available for you, then it's kind of wasted potential. So they're picking their spots right now, Denial.
We're about to 1,000 gold difference between these two teams at the moment. Vetium happy to trade a little bit more with Meerkat now as he's got a couple more mage items online here.
He's trying to zone away Meerkat from the wave right now, finding a little bit of poke before going and returning to farm the wave.
Just farming up once again. Aduro going to swing onto the left-hand side. This could be a lot of pressure gank onto Vetium for some reason. I'll just get Gold Fury control once again, and that's what Wubbn's here for. I guess they didn't have vision of Denial. We're a little bit worried about it, so they will clear the ward out. Vetium could get pinched though if he's not careful about his positioning here. Going to throw out the Stellar Burst against Meerkat there. Wubbn, though, going to have to dash back to the lane at level 12.
And Vetium doing a good job 1v2 right now, zoning members away into the dual lane. 2 levels ahead currently of Meerkat, just like I mentioned. He has the better mindset for the 100 position because he's always doing a good job consistently farming. And now looks like Denial are confident enough for this Gold Fury.
They've also got their ultimates up is the bigger talking point there. Benji's now made the rotation too. Meerkat's the first one to turn up, going to get hit by the monkey. Has to jump away, hovering in the air, trying to choose where to go. He lands in place, eats an overhand smash, eats a Xenotronics. Bounce from the lightning as well, but he still stands. The Suns came down nicely in the back. Shadowq zoning away Aduro at the moment, keeping Aduro out of this fight. 5 members of Denial, very healthy, very strong, looking for a pick, finding the pick on Aduro, who is left alone.
Shadowq doing a good job isolating Aduro right now, keeping Benji very aggressive right now as he's trying to zone the rest of Randozos away. Wubbn's going to find the taunt, but no one to follow up.
And straight onto Whalrus before he can get the ultimate off. He knew he was coming around the corner, and the Pheno Evil was on the mark.
And because of the rotation from Meerkat, getting poked out by Mask, even though Mask didn't find the kill, he still had to force Meerkat out of the fight. And that's why Denial get a very easy Gold Fury. Finding the pick onto Whalrus before the ultimate came up was very important for them as well.
And the very first time in this game now, Denial leading both experience and gold after that Gold Fury going down. They're going to strip the jungle out as well. Speed buff available for both the junglers, so expect them to turn over to there soon. Skeeledon needs to pick that up before Denial actually recognize it's available.
And as this game progresses right now, if I'm Randozos, I'm always being very cautious about every corner that I go around because I could be very easily get shielded by the Zeus and Chain Lightning.
You could be Whalrus. That's exactly what happened to him. He wore around that corner and got hit by
Fear No Evil.
Fear No
and
Evil
burst
and
damage.
destroyed by the whole team. There's nothing he could do.
So he has to be, the rest of Randozos have to be very careful about how they position themselves. They have to use the Wubbn right now to position himself with a ward.
Oh, teleport coming out here as well from Whalrus back to soak up the experience in the solo lane. I thought we may see some aggression there. Skeeledon did land the sash, but there was no real follow-up to be had. Instead, it's just so Whalrus can get the farm and the blue buff, and then Skeeledon can head back to mid. It's not over for Randozos yet, though, but their early game composition of control is starting to hinder them now in the middle to late game stages as Denial is starting to pick up pace.
It's not over for Randozos, but it is over in terms of trying to find a pick onto Benji in the solo lane. It's just not going to happen this late game. When you have Breastplate of Valor, you have the Void Shield online as well. You have Meditate as well on the Amaterasu. You're going to have a lot of sustain from double physicals.
Well, a little bit overextended Denial were there. I think they were trying to pull Randozos into a fight in that engagement there. And instead, Benji's rotating all the way around, going to meet Adoro, who's under pressure again. Fear No Evil on the mark, going to force the Sanctuary on Adoro to block some of that damage. Circle Protection is down, as is the ultimate from Zeus, though, and Adoro falls again. They pick him off for free, and now the pressure from the tier 2.
And with this tier 2 tower pressure, Bench is going to try to zone away Wubbn, going to use his ultimate as well, finding the stun, finding maybe another kill.
Finds the kill as well as they find the tier 2 tower in mid lane. Meanwhile, on the right hand side of things, Whalrus is actually taking the tier 2 as Vetium under pressure here is going to get ulted. The leap a little bit too early from Meerkat there, not to be able to combine, but they will pick up Vetium in trade. But the rotation is here from Mast. He's going to look for Skeeledon. Skeeledon trying to juke out the ability. He's not going to be able to juke out the in hand. Meerkat now, those in hands are on point, and Mast is in trouble. The Ricochet though, a little bit off the mark. He should be able to pick this up with his kill though. No, leaps off the mark too, and he jumps to the minion. Mast still alive. Somersaults back in, trying to juke it around. Sanctuary is popped from Meerkat. Meerkat can't find the Ricochet, and Xenotronics gets the kill.
Beautiful kiting right now out of Mast, utilizing that speed buff to its fullest advantage. Unfortunately, not finding the in-hands and the Ricochet necessary. Meerkat could have found the kill, and that would have opened the doors for Randozos, and now Whalrus is going to try to make a play in the mid lane.
Good Sanctuary from Xenotronics, though, to block some of that damage, followed by the Purification. Returns damage back nicely onto Whalrus. The slows from the chain lightning really impacted. Detonate didn't do too much, though, because they are tanky targets, but with Benji showing his face, it's Randozos on the retreat.
They want to find another pick if you're Denial right now. Utilizing the aura from Amaterasu at this stage of the game and the sustain from Guan, you can play so aggressive right now and then find the sustain.
Talking about aggressive, here we go. 3 members of Randozos in mid lane, and behind him is the Monkey. Fear No Evil's dropped. Adoro is dropped. Pure Circle of Protection did nothing to keep him alive, and now Wubbn, the next focus. He'll fall down to Xenotronics. Although Xenotronics now been taken to the sky by Skeeledon with the Neja, he will find the kill in response, as Shadowq is still boxing Whalrus and losing that fight badly.
And now we do have a zoning in the backhand line. Shadowq going to fall to Whalrus right now. So far, it has been a 2-for-2 trade, and we do have a very low Skeeledon, so he has to retreat from the fight.
But Vetium on his way over with this rotation now, and Meerkat means that the fight should subside there as well. But Randozos pushed up mid, didn't expect Denial coming around the back, and that's exactly what they did, and found a couple more kills.
Recognizing that Adoro didn't have a Sanctuary available, found a very easy, clean pick. However, they kind of overcommitted to that. They used the Fear No Evil, they used the Cavalry Charge as well. If Shadowq had the Cavalry Charge in the later stages of the game, he easily would have been able to retreat.
Meerkat picks up the red buff for his team, going to take the balls as well. Now level 19, his build's coming along nicely. Has the Wind Demon coming online as well very, very soon. So that extra crit will allow him to get a little bit more mobility and attack speed in this build too if it does proc.
Which is very important to have that extra mobility against a Soul that's going to be able to disapparate anytime she wants to. Having like too much pressure on her side to disengage will allow Meerkat to catch up if he does find the crits.
And that's one of the best things against mages is the crit, really. I mean, you are squishy target as a mage, and if you can find those crits, they are unusually fast, you don't either Sanctuary in time, or you don't use your abilities like Disapparate, they don't get through in time to block that damage.
It's very important to have that mobility. We see Funballer all the time picking up Fatalis on any hunter that he'll play. He'll even pick up the Fatalis on Nath in the hunter position. He's not afraid to have sacrifice the damage just for the mobility.
Just extra mobility, get in and out of fights a little bit quicker. But Wubbn on this left-hand side looking for a pick on Vetium. Potentially Vetium did just ward though as Meerkat goes aggressive, finds the Ricochet on the triple bounce as well. And that Disapparate is forced on the right though. Shadowq did pick up Skeeledon under the tower as Benji is poking out the right-hand side here. There's a rotation from Denial to the left here, looking for the Gold Fury or the overextended duo lane of the Randozos.
They're trying to make sure that Vetium is going to be able to clear the left-hand side as the rest of Denial group up.
Ricochet just off the mark there. Taunt was good, however, but Mass isn't too worried. He's just stood there in front of the tower for now. They could look for the Gold Fury here now, but they're maybe a little bit worried about the ultimates being available from Randozos.
They have a power play right now, 5v4, with a pick onto Skeeledon. They're going to utilize this to get the tier 1 tower for free. They don't have to get Gold Fury right now. However, on the right-hand side, Whalrus is taking advantage that there's nobody there. Going to find the tier 2.
Yeah, you will get a tier 2 tower as the tier 1 falls on the left-hand side as well, and still Deny going to pressure on for the tier 2 tower here. No minions with them still, though. It's a little bit further off, so no backdoor protections. Whalrus with the curse, first of all, going to slow them down for a moment, but with the minions coming in, that chain line and bouncing from Xenotronics onto 3, they'll get the tier 2 and walk away into the jungle.
And now Benji did have to back, just in case Whalrus was sticking around for that Phoenix push. I like the idea and the mindset behind that. Denial going to start up the Gold Fury Master. Is going to look for another pick with Fear No Evil. It could be
Vice spied, and there's the mark of the crow onto him immediately. Meerkat forced away over the wall jumps. Mass, though, looking for pressure onto anybody he can find. They recognize where he is, though, and Mass is a little bit too far forward. There's a Purification and Sanctuary used by Meerkat, though, so it's not the worst Fear No Evil in the world as Benji and Shadowq continue to zone as the damage dealers try to bring down the gold.
Benji in the backline trying to zone away from Adoro as Mass jumps in. Cavalry Charge is being used on top of Zeus and Solo Ultimate. Meerkat might be in a lot of trouble.
Meerkat is in a lot of trouble, but a taunt from Wubbn is good to keep him up. It allows him to get the Suns raining down. Xenotronics under pressure as well, and he's trying to run away. Shadowq is trying to create a zone, but Whalrus doesn't care about it. Whalrus wants kills on this Vamana. The beatdown begins on Mast, and he will fall to the big baby. The big baby continues as Xenotronics tries to pick up hope damage, but he's got to be careful because the baby's coming.
The baby is coming for Xenotronics, and there's nowhere for him to go. The dash is going to connect and find another kill. So far, it's a 2-for-1 exchange in the favor of Randozos, but looks like Whalrus is not going to be able to get away from this because Benji's aura is too strong.
It's a good slow from him, but he's still being hit by that Telo Assault, and now with the collapse as well, he's still doing a good job of juking around. Unluckily, Skeeledon didn't recognize this, could have taken a tier 1 tower in the mid lane. Instead, he will steal away the speed buff, though, of Denial.
It's very important to take away the speed buff away from the enemy jungler in this position, in the late game especially. Having the speed buff on top of a Hunbass that can easily engage with Blink, Ultimate, jump away whenever necessary. Now he's not going to have that extra maneuverability to escape.
This is a surprisingly good game at 26 minutes in. 1 Gold Fury only been taken. That second one didn't go down then. You can see it still stands on the map, and Denial, they've swung into their favor again, but that last little engagement, you can just see the climb starting from Randozos there. If Denial aren't careful, Randozos could continue to sneak back into this.
It's a little bit of back and forth right now in the late game. The way Denial wanted to play that engagement was Mask was waiting for somebody to come around the corner. Unfortunately, he was sitting on top of a ward. Recognizing this was Meerkat finding the mark, so he had to disengage. Overextending, Mask was jumping over the red buff with Benji in the backline, forcing Arduro to fall very early in the teamfight. However, they overcommitted in the teamfight, which allowed Randozos to capitalize.
So Wind Demon completed for Meerkat, now working towards more crit. He's bouncing through the jungle knowing that he hit that ricochet and stole away those left-hand harpies. But now, though, they're looking to steal away the Gold Fury here. They've started up one more time now and continuing. His Fear No Evil on Meerkat does connect again. Spirit Ball on the absolute point from Adoro, though, will give an opportunity for Meerkat to escape. Meanwhile, on the back, Whalrus going to zone away. Masters Vishan was pressured heavily. Benji, though, did pick up Meerkat, who hung around nastily, and Whalrus in the big baby form, trying to keep 4 at bay. Has Wubbn coming in as well with the dunk from Athena and the taunt to follow up, but the damage isn't enough to bring any targets down. They're just chasing them around at the moment. Whalrus being kited at the moment as Benji is still trying to deal with the backline of Randozos.
And now Shadowq is going to find the stun on top of Whalrus. Sprint was used. Can Whalrus get away? The chain lightning is not going to connect. It looks like Whalrus is going to be able to get away from that as Benji was doing a great job zoning in the backline by himself.
He kept them all away, and that leaves Denial for the Gold Fury now. Only one member died in that engagement. That was Meerkat, who did die to Meerkat. Sorry, who did die to Benji.
Meerkat got soloed by Meerkat.
Meerkat got soloed by Meerkat. That's the dream. Get soloed by Meerkat.
Mind is blown right now.
I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You get soloed by yourself. That's like down to a tower, I guess.
That is weird, getting soloed by yourself.
Yeah, I guess.
I've seen some stuff in my life.
You've seen some ranked games.
I've seen some ranked games in my life.
You've seen some games in the Pro League too, I guess.
Yep.
You've seen some crazy Pro League games. What was the worst Pro League game you've ever played in?
Ever competed in?
Yeah, what's the worst one where you're like, man, this game sucked?
Probably like every round in the Challenger Cup.
The Challenger Cup?
Yeah.
How come?
It was just kind of like a snowball, especially in the finals against Legion of Carrots.
Ooh, fire shots at the guys going in #1 seed.
Going in. Oh, but they definitely earned their keep.
They did?
They definitely deserve it.
Well, Randozos grouping up around the Fire Giant now because that's where Denial we're looking to. Spirit Ball off the mark onto Shadowq, so he'll walk away. Ricochet, however, a different story. Meerkat eats a lot of free poke for free from Meerkat, who's got some good pressure onto him, but Benji's on the way to support as well, and Meerkat forced back. The reflection is available, and he dashes onto him, does Benji, really trying to pressure that Hunter back away from the engagement. Meanwhile, Adoro again, isolated and alone, isolated and deleted, and now it's Whalrus, isolated and alone himself in the big baby form.
The discipline by Benji, able to switch from the left side to the right-hand side as it was called out. Whalrus, in response, should be able to fall, unless the Athena ultimate could keep him up, but it doesn't look like it.
Not in time, the Supernova came out as well, so Vetium picks up Skeeledon there at the end of that, and 5 members of Denial are on this right-hand side with the Fire Giant available, and their health bar's not looking too bad. They could look to start this one up.
And they should be able to get it for scot-free right now as the Tier 1 tower does fall. A few members from Denial do force the Fire Giant. Athena's going to push the Tier 1 in response. Looks like Meerkat just going to start the back harpies instead of trying to steal this away.
Well, Meerkat is around here, but yep, you said it yourself, he's not going to be there in time to be able to stop this one. And Denial, they're going to head back to base very, very quickly as Meerkat did secure the speed buff just for the safety factor. Wubbn, meanwhile, will take the Tier 1 tower in the mid lane and make sure they get at least a little bit of gold in the coffers for Randozos and keep the gap a little bit less.
They have to get something in return, and so Wubbn getting this Tier 1 tower is a nice little map advantage as well. It's going to force Denial to push a little bit further, having to deal with that wave, and then not having the Tier 1 tower to retreat could potentially backfire depending on how this next engagement turns out.
So a couple of members in mid lane of Denial now going to push forward. There's no Phoenix available, so there's no towers for them to stop them getting to the Phoenix there. Only a Tier 2 tower on the right hand side, and it looks like we can see Shadowq and Xenotronics heading in that direction there for the blue buff to begin things, and maybe that last Tier 2 tower, which will give him 1,500 gold.
And it's going to be very difficult right now if I'm Randozos. Adoro and Meerkat are getting constantly dove by Benji in the back lane. There's not much that Wubbn can really do about it. The taunt is good, but it's only good for a little bit of time. The burst damage out of Benji's ultimate is just going to do too much. Even the circle of protection doesn't negate all of that damage.
I think that's the issue with the Randozos team comp here is the only peel they've got is Athena. And Athena, when she goes into taunt aggressively, then nobody's there to stop the backline being ravaged by the side of Denial every single time.
Skeeledon's going to have to try to find an isolation on top of Xenotronics or maybe Vetium, and that's kind of what he was consistently doing throughout these team fights. But if I'm Denial right now, that's my only loss condition is if Skeeledon can find that opportunity. So I'm trying to be paired up together as we siege these Phoenixes.
Well, Fire Giant their way, Tier 2 tower their way, 5 members still on this right-hand side at the moment as Shadowq set up on the slight left, and in the jungle you can see Master's hanging around there at the back too as Benji, he's going to come out to Meerkat and force half his health immediately. Benji takes some poke, but he will get some sustained backup from his auras as well. As Skeeledon, he does find a prime target for himself. It's not the one he was really after though, it was Shadowq he was wanted, but Xenotronics deletes him before he can get involved. The Phoenix is now under pressure too as Mass jumps in. Phoenix will fall.
And with that Phoenix falling, the sustain from Fire Giant and top of Shadowq should allow this next mid-Phoenix to be contested right now. We do have a dash taunt and the Hui ultimate.
Great combination from them, but is there enough damage to bring anyone down? Benji is just so tanky, zone out the whole team as Whalrus was on the back with Wubbn, and the front line is getting decimated and forced back to base. They turn their attention to the back line there, and Adoro has the Sanctuary as Benji lands the stun. Circle of Protection keeps him up for a moment, but Xenotronics gets credit for the kill.
And now the mid-Phoenix is going to get aggressed on. We do have aggressive jump from Mass, so he's going to be the first victim for Denial, unfortunately for him. However, trading the middle Phoenix for his life, and they should be able to get the left side Phoenix in return, so his life was definitely worth it.
32 minutes in, all Phoenixes now for Denial are up a considerable amount of gold now, and with the Fire Giant still available on 4 of those members, they can limp back to base here, buy up at the last thing, and look to end if they can get away from the jungle.
If they can get away, but it looks like they're still utilizing their Fire Giant sustain. The Guan used sustain as well, just going to strip away any sort of jungle. Red buff is not available for them to strip away, but they're going to be able to back, buy, and continue the siege with the next Fire Giant respawn.
See the golden hand there, 2,500 available for Sol and Zeus as well, so both of them could look to pick things up, and you can see Sol just sold an item and picked up Breastplate of Valor, so a little bit more tankiness online this time around, just in case he does get burst in the next engagement.
Also having more cooldowns online as well for him is going to be important to spam that off whenever necessary. Keeping him alive is going to be very important for this team fight.
And you can see how close Xenotronics is actually to finishing off that Soul Reaver. Not close enough, I don't think. I don't think you get a chance to before this game ends unless something crazy happens. At the moment though, Denial will clear out their jungle and then head down to look to end. Just wait for the minions and the fire minions to start pushing.
Soul Reaver on Zeus right now would spell a lot of trouble for Randozos. The Fear No Evil combo with Denial's damage right now, with Zeus without even Soul Reaver, putting that online, could get, even targeting the tank right now on top of Wubbn would just instantly blow him up.
Well, at the moment, they're just trying to find somebody slightly out of position here with Denial. Just use their opportunity to wade through the jungle here, wait for the 5 minions to push up as Mass takes his speed buff. Randozos clear up the left-hand side, so no pressure there for a moment or two. Xenotronics is going to clear this right-hand side here, and they're just hanging around. I guess they're waiting for the next Fire Giant to spawn.
It's going to be very difficult for Randozos to defend against this Fire Giant with all 3 Phoenixes down right now. Aduro on the left-hand side did push that wave out a little bit, but now Randozos do have to defend the mid-wave as Benji is going to get aggressed on.
They're really looking for Benji. The taunt is good. The knockup was better. The ricochet was fantastic too. Benji's going to ult in response though and get some support from his team, but there's Meerkat going in looking for the kill on him. Not going to find it. Instead, it's Aduro taken off the map by Masked, and then Vetium picks up Meerkat after his overextension. 2 members down on the side of Randozos. Denial, they may not even need this Fire Giant now.
We talked about the mentality that Meerkat had earlier on in the game when he was trading with Vetium, and right there he sacrificed his life trying to kill Benji in that situation. He knew he was going to die either way, but he tried to find the return kill after the diving, but it just wasn't successful.
The Titan falls down. Denial 2-0 Randozos on their penultimate game as well. Denial do have one more set to play tomorrow, and I believe that's up against Eager. Ooh, against Eager. And obviously, if Denial can win that set, they will go above LG in the standings and hit number 4 spot, which is a little bit more money for them. But overall, this performance today, pretty good from Denial. Game 1, no messing around, straight at it, get it over with.
Pretty good. It also depends on how Luminosity do in this next matchup against Envy coming up.
Well, let's go back to that game. Xenotronics had a great start to the game overall. Pretty good performance from him and the whole of Denial. The game 1 was great, and this was just some of the plays from him.
It was just a strategy that Denial executed efficiently. It was with the Nemesis ulti on top of Xenotronics doing just so much damage throughout the game.
Yeah, just like all over the place, and there's the plays as well from him. We also had some plays from Mast this game too, because Mast played the Humbats. Game 2 had a good performance on that, and game 1 it was the Nemesis as well, where he ganked a lot into the solo lane, just relieved that pressure on Benji that was there early on.
It was a nice change of pace that Mast did from game 1 to game 2, like you mentioned, focusing the solo lane game 1, and then game 2 looking for more the team-based objectives, having the Humbats, having the Zeus, you're trying to control a large space in the map, and that's exactly what Denial were doing in the mid to late game.
Just landing so many in-hands in that, and then just chasing down Whalrus as well. Good performance. Because he's having fun with it too now at the end of the season. I'm glad to see him back on a roster where he's comfortable. He seemed like a very good player. A lot of people talked him up this season, but Mask kind of struggled finding a home to an extent. He was not necessarily had trouble finding a home. It was a home that he liked himself.
And I feel like out of a lot of junglers with the speed buff, specifically on top of Mask, he's definitely shown a lot of strength with that speed buff compared to junglers that didn't have the speed buff available to them.
Well, good performance so far from Denial. We'll find out tomorrow if they can actually steal away that 4th position at the moment as well. Don't forget, we also have Giannis available for you guys to get this weekend only. If you head over to esports.smitegame.com, esports.smitegame.com/Facebook, I should say, you can get the Keymaster Giannis skin. Just put in what platform you play Smite on, and you will get that Keymaster Giannis skin for your pleasure. Not only that, there is also some clothing on sale this weekend, 75% off, multiple clothes in terms of t-shirts, hoodies, as well as hats and things as well. You can head over there to livebnfd.com to get those as well.
Do they have pizza rolls?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Pecky's about that
Okay,
one.
I'll go ask Pecky's after this.
So next up, we also have LG versus Envy as well. LG versus Envy is one of those matches that on paper don't mean anything. Envy's definitely relegated. LG, well, they currently, if they can find a 2-0 here, it makes it very difficult for Denial to steal that 4th spot.
If Luminosity find a 2-0 here, then Denial won't be able to overpass them in the 4th hand spot.
Well, let's find out. We'll be back after this short break with that fantastic set of the day.